In this module, we'll talk about ideology. Beliefs and attitudes, just discussed in Module 4.3, are slow to change, but ideology may change more quickly because it can be influenced by events. Ideological shifts are more likely to occur if a voter's ideology is only weakly supported by his or her beliefs. So let's talk about some different ideologies. Most Americans do not identify with a particular ideology. If they do, it is usually either conservatism or liberalism. Conservatism is a political ideology that assumes elected government will guard individual liberties and provide laws. Modern conservatives also prefer a smaller government that stays out of the economy, allowing the market and business to determine prices, wages, and supply. Also known as a laissez-faire policy, or let the market regulate itself. Liberalism posits that government power should be used to promote individual economic security and redistribute resources, but it rejects the notion that government should favor a particular set of social values. Senator of Vermont, Bernie Sanders, identifies himself as a socialist. Socialists have a commitment to economic equality through taxation and the redistribution of wealth. Libertarians are committed to small government. For example, they would most likely favor dismantling the Drug Enforcement Agency or the DEA because they believe that as long as an individual is not harming anyone, that person should be left to his or her own business. If a crime is committed under the influence of a drug, for example, the crime, such as speeding or murder, already has punishments associated with it. Another ideology is fascism, and another, authoritarianism. We'll go over those now. Fascism provides total control of the country by the ruling party or political leader. This form of government will run the economy, the military, society, and culture, and often tries to control the private lives of its citizens. Nazi Adolf Hitler is the example most often cited of a fascist. Authoritarian leaders control the politics, military, and government of a country, and often the entire economy as well. As you can see, these two run completely counter to a democratic society. Many Americans equate democracy, the political system in which the people govern themselves, discussed in Module 5, with capitalism. In theory, a democratic government promotes freedom, equality, and individualism. And capitalism is the idea that people should be able to acquire property and keep the proceeds of their work, rather than the government keeping the proceeds. A capitalist economy system requires individualism. So in theory, it promotes equality, but in reality, in America, great divisions of wealth exist between owners of big businesses and the working poor, for example. Some historians believe the world was divided after World War II into West and East, capitalism and communism. In theory, communism promotes common ownership of all property, all means of production, and all materials. This means that the government or states should own the property, the farms, the manufacturing, the businesses. One change in political culture since the Second World War is that United States citizens have become less trusting of governmental institutions. We talked about generational effect in Module 4.2. Baby boomers, again, people born between the years of 1946 and 1964, are more likely to feel disillusioned about government. They distrust government in large part because of the Watergate scandal and the foreign policy disaster that was Vietnam. That is, until 9/11 occurred. Changes in beliefs following the 9/11 terrorist attacks on the United States included an increase in the level of trust in government and a new willingness to limit liberties for groups of citizens who did not fit into the dominant cultural type. According to some scholars, these shifts after 9/11 led to partisanship to become more polarized than in previous decades, as more citizens began thinking of themselves as either conservative or liberal rather than moderate. Some believed that 9/11 caused a number of citizens to become more conservative overall. Crises, like these, usually cause what is called a rallying around the flag effect, when people support the president's decisions in foreign policy no matter what. Political scientists state that the elections that occurred after 9/11 were really about trust. In 2008, for example, John McCain pointed to his record of military and public service to inspire trust. Barack Obama's new ideas and steady personality also inspired trust. The 2016 election between Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump also brought issues of trust to the forefront. Questions about which email server Clinton used as Secretary of State inspired FBI Director James Comey to make a public statement just 2 days before the election that some say hurt her ability to win. And the FBI began looking into whether or not Trump's senior campaign officials had ties to Russia in the first couple months of his presidency. Be sure to do the readings thoroughly in your textbook and watch the video as many times as you would like, and continue to do all the questions.